Hello. Today General Hospital will reveal since Britt Westbourne's return, everything in Dante and Lulu's lives has been thrown into chaos. Britt's presence hasn't just disturbed their lives but has thrown them into a whirlwind of fear, confusion, and mounting pressure. The past, which they had thought was safely buried, is now threatening to resurface, bringing with it the possibility of explosive revelations. Britt's return was not just a reminder of the past, it was a catalyst for unraveling everything they had painstakingly built. Her decision to take a DNA test with Rocco, the child Lulu and Dante had raised as their own, was a move that nobody could have anticipated. When the results came back, they were nothing short of shocking. Rocco was biologically Britt's son. The implications of this discovery shook the very foundation of the family that had lovingly cared for Rocco. To make matters even worse, Britt wasted no time in filing for custody of Rocco, completely disregarding the years of care and emotional bonds Lulu and Dante had built with him. With this legal battle on the horizon, the tension surrounding this situation reached a boiling point. No one could have predicted the level of destruction Britt's actions would cause in this family, and Dante and Lulu were left to grapple with a whirlwind of emotions and confusion. For Dante and Lulu, the news was nothing short of devastating. Their entire world, built around the love and nurturing of Rocco as their own, was now at risk of shattering. The years they had spent raising him, watching him grow and develop as part of their family, suddenly felt as though they had been built on sand, now threatening to collapse beneath them. Rocco, the little boy they had loved unconditionally, now stood at the center of a battle neither side ever anticipated. Britt, who had stolen their embryo years ago in 2013, was now laying claim to what she considered her child. Her return had not only reignited old wounds but was threatening to tear apart the fragile life that Dante and Lulu had worked so hard to rebuild. The pain went deeper than just the legal implications. It was the psychological toll that weighed heavily on them. Lulu, who had already endured the devastating heartbreak of Britt's fake death years earlier, now faced the gut-wrenching truth that the child she had carried in her heart as her own might not be biologically hers after all. For Lulu, this revelation was an emotional gut punch, and it forced her to face a terrible reality. The love she had poured into Rocco over the years was now being called into question. The pain of having this connection to her child questioned was almost too much to bear. And then there was Rocco, who, after all these years, began to question his own identity. The boy who had been raised by Dante and Lulu now found himself on the precipice of a family upheaval that he had no part in causing. His curiosity about his biological mother, Britt, only deepened with the knowledge that she was, in fact, his birth mother. For a child who had grown up believing in one set of parents, this sudden shift in his reality was disorienting. He had to confront the possibility that everything he had known to be true about his family was a lie. It's a confusing and painful position for any child to be placed in, and for Rocco, the idea of learning about his origins in such a public, painful way must have been overwhelming. Dante and Lulu were now faced with a dilemma that few parents would ever want to experience. The child they had nurtured, loved, and cared for as their own was being pulled from their grasp, not just by biology but by Britt's legal claims. They had to come to terms with the fact that their son, the child they had raised, might be taken from them, possibly forever. How could they fight this battle, and how could they protect their son from the fallout? The legal proceedings, the family trauma, and the emotional turmoil were starting to take their toll. As if the emotional weight of these revelations wasn't enough, the psychological strain on Dante and Lulu intensified with the haunting reminder that Britt had orchestrated this situation from the start. Britt had stolen their embryo and manipulated circumstances to create a family with Rocco. Now, she was back, armed with the truth of Rocco's parentage, and she was not about to let go of what she believed was rightfully hers. For Dante and Lulu, the return of Britt felt like a bitter slap in the face, a painful reminder of a time when they were left in the dark about the true origins of the child they had been raising as their own. The emotional toll on Rocco was equally heartbreaking. He was no longer just a child caught in the middle of a family dispute, he was now the focal point of a fight over his very identity. The pressure on him to choose sides between the parents who had loved him and the biological mother who had been absent for so long was unimaginable. Rocco's confusion, his desire to understand where he truly belonged, added a layer of complexity to an already overwhelming situation. His journey of self-discovery was being thrust upon him in the most traumatic of ways, and it was a process that would forever change his perception of family and identity. Lulu and Dante now had to find a way to protect Rocco from the heartbreak of this situation while trying to maintain their own emotional stability. They had to figure out how to fight for the child they had raised while respecting the reality of Rocco's biological connection to Britt. But as they navigated the murky waters of legal battles and emotional trauma, one thing was clear: their family was no longer the same. The trust they had in their roles as parents was now shaken, and they were forced to confront painful truths that they never expected to face. In the end, this story was no longer just about the legal fight for custody of Rocco, it was about the emotional toll on a family, the lasting impact of secrets kept too long, and the heartbreaking reality that sometimes, the truth can destroy everything you thought you knew about yourself and the people you loved. Britt's return not only reopens old wounds for the Falconeri family but also destabilizes the fragile equilibrium between Dante and Lulu. For years, they had worked hard to build a life together, filled with love and stability for Rocco, whom they had raised as their son. But now, with the revelation that Rocco may not be their biological child, everything they thought they knew about their family is being questioned. The truth has become a double-edged sword, cutting deeply into their relationship and their sense of security. Dante and Lulu are forced to face a painful reality: the child they have loved and nurtured for so long may not be theirs by blood. The emotional weight of this truth is unbearable, especially for Lulu, who has always been fiercely protective of her family. Rocco has been her child in every sense of the word. She has held him in her arms, comforted him, and seen him grow into the young person he is today. But now, with Britt's re-emergence and the DNA test results proving that Rocco is Britt's biological son, Lulu must confront a gut-wrenching question: can she still claim him as her own, or is her motherhood now reduced to a mere act of love without a legal foundation? The thought that the child she has called her own may not be hers genetically is a cruel irony, as it calls into question not just her role as a mother, but the very identity of the family she has built. Dante is no less affected by this revelation. He, too, has loved Rocco as his own flesh and blood. As a father, he has watched Rocco grow, experienced the milestones, the joys, and the challenges of parenting him. The idea that Britt, a woman who has already inflicted so much pain on their family, could come back and claim Rocco as her own again fills him with a sense of dread. What does this mean for their family dynamic? How do they explain to Rocco, a boy who has never known the truth about his origins, that his biological mother is someone who once tried to steal him away? The emotional conflict between protecting Rocco's well-being and defending their own parental rights is tearing at the very fabric of their relationship. The situation becomes even more complicated when considering Rocco's perspective. Rocco, who has spent his entire childhood unaware of the truth about his origins, is now confronted with a painful discovery. His curiosity about Britt's return is both natural and distressing. The boy is desperate for answers, wanting to understand who he really is, where he comes from, and why things have always been so complicated. Rocco has always known Lulu and Dante as his parents, but with Britt's arrival and the DNA test revealing their biological disconnection, he is thrust into an emotional maelstrom. Does he want to learn the truth, or is he afraid that this knowledge will tear apart everything he has known and loved? As Rocco's curiosity deepens, it becomes clear that his journey to find answers may not be as liberating as he hopes. While the truth may set him free in one sense, it might also plunge him into a deeper psychological crisis. The boy is already struggling with the aftermath of the shocking revelation about his origins, and now he is forced to grapple with the possibility that the woman who has returned to his life, Britt, may be the one to disrupt everything he holds dear. What will Rocco do when he learns that the mother who raised him, Lulu, may not be his biological mother, and the biological mother, Britt, was a woman who has a history of manipulation and deceit? Dante and Lulu cannot help but worry about how Britt will approach Rocco. They know all too well that Britt carries with her an obsessive, manipulative nature, one that could easily twist Rocco's emotional state to her advantage. Britt has already shown that she is willing to do anything to reclaim what she believes is hers, and Rocco is her ultimate pawn in this game. While Rocco's connection to Britt may be biological, his emotional bond to Lulu and Dante runs deep. But how long will it take for Britt to break through the walls that Dante and Lulu have so carefully constructed around their son? Will she use Rocco's curiosity and need for answers as leverage to pull him further into her web? Lulu and Dante are at a crossroads. Their once stable family unit is now at the mercy of Britt's manipulation, and they are unsure of how to protect Rocco from the destructive path Britt seems intent on leading them down. They know that Rocco is vulnerable, caught between his desire to understand his identity and the unsettling influence of Britt. They also realize that no matter how hard they try to shield him, Rocco will ultimately have to make a choice, whether to embrace the truth and risk losing his place in the family he has known or to resist the temptation of the unknown and hold on to the family that has loved him for years. As the battle for Rocco's future continues to unfold, the stakes grow higher. Britt's actions are not just about a legal fight for custody, they are about power, control, and the ability to shape Rocco's identity. Lulu and Dante must now navigate a minefield of emotional challenges, legal complexities, and their own fears of losing the child they've fought so hard to raise. For Rocco, the journey is one of self-discovery, but it is also a journey that will force him to confront painful truths and make decisions that could have lasting consequences for his sense of self, his place in the family, and his future. At the heart of this family crisis lies a fundamental question: what makes a family? Is it biology, or is it the love and sacrifices that parents make for their children? As the situation intensifies, it seems that the answer will not come easily, and no one can predict the fallout from the decisions made by each of the players involved. For now, the Falconeri family is caught in a precarious balancing act, trying to protect Rocco from the chaos that Britt has brought into their lives while holding on to the love that has always defined them as a family. The turbulence within the Falconeri family is not limited to Dante and Lulu's struggle with the shocking truth about Rocco. As the situation deepens, other relationships within the family are also put to the test, notably that of Lisel Albrecht and her two daughters, Britt and the family she has chosen to stand by, Dante and Lulu. Lisel has been profoundly affected by Britt's fake death years ago, a betrayal that caused her to lose trust in her own daughter. Now, with Britt's return, Lisel is thrust into the most difficult dilemma of her life. Should she stand by the daughter who betrayed her or support the family she has come to care for so deeply? Lisel's relationship with Britt has always been complicated, fraught with love, resentment, and unhealed wounds. Britt's faked death was a psychological and emotional blow to Lisel, one that she never truly recovered from. The pain of losing her daughter, only to later discover that Britt had orchestrated her own disappearance to escape a life of manipulation and deceit, left Lisel feeling abandoned and betrayed. For years, Lisel harbored the scars of that betrayal, and the possibility of reconciling with Britt has always seemed like a distant dream. But now, Britt is back, and Lisel is confronted with the prospect of supporting her once more, despite the deep anger she still feels toward her. The tension is compounded by the fact that Lisel has come to care for Dante and Lulu as though they were her own family. Their relationship, built on trust and shared experiences, has become an anchor for her in the years following Britt's departure. Lisel has witnessed firsthand the love and devotion that Dante and Lulu have for Rocco, and she has seen how their family dynamic has flourished despite the many challenges they've faced. The Falconeri family has given Lisel a sense of belonging, something that has been missing in her own life for far too long. But now, as the battle for Rocco's custody intensifies, Lisel is forced to choose between the daughter she once loved and the family that has embraced her in the absence of her own. This situation puts Lisel in an impossible position. She knows that if she chooses to stand by Britt, she risks alienating the very family that has become her lifeline. However, if she sides with Dante and Lulu, she would have to face her own daughter's resentment, and possibly further alienate herself from Britt, the child she once thought lost. Lisel's decision could be the turning point in this custody battle. Her influence on Rocco, who has begun questioning his identity and his place in the world, could either help to heal the rift in the family or drive a permanent wedge between them. Her choice will not just affect her relationship with her daughters but will also determine whether Rocco remains with the family that raised him or is taken away by the woman who is biologically his mother. While Lisel is caught in the emotional crossfire of this family conflict, Dante and Lulu are facing their own internal struggles. The love they have for Rocco is unconditional and all-encompassing, but the truth of his origins forces them to confront their deepest fears and insecurities. As they grapple with the possibility of losing Rocco, they are torn between protecting him from the manipulative forces of Britt and respecting his need for answers about his biological mother. The emotional toll of this battle is immense, and every decision they make could have lasting consequences for their family's future. Dante and Lulu are not just facing a legal fight for Rocco's custody, they are struggling to keep their family intact in the face of a devastating revelation. The idea that Rocco may not be their biological child shakes the very foundation of their identity as parents. They have raised him, loved him, and watched him grow, yet the reality of his biological connection to Britt threatens to unravel everything they have built. This truth is not just a legal complication, it is a deeply personal crisis that challenges their sense of self and their bond with Rocco. Rocco's own journey of self-discovery adds another layer of complexity to this already volatile situation. As he learns more about his origins, his emotional turmoil grows. He wants to understand who he really is, but the truth is not as simple as he imagined. The more he uncovers about his biological mother, the more conflicted he becomes. Is Britt the person he should turn to, despite her past actions, or should he continue to lean on the parents who have loved him unconditionally? The questions swirling in Rocco's mind are not just about his identity, they are about his place in a family that is being torn apart by secrets, lies, and manipulations. For Dante and Lulu, every decision they make now carries the weight of their entire family's future. Do they fight to keep Rocco, even if it means severing their ties with Britt? Or do they risk their own happiness to honor Rocco's need for the truth, even if it means losing him to the woman who never wanted to be his mother? The stakes are incredibly high, and the emotional fallout from their decisions will be felt for years to come. They must decide whether to protect Rocco from the manipulation of his biological mother or to allow him to explore the painful truths that may ultimately change his life forever. As the battle for Rocco's custody rages on, the Falconeri family is on the brink of a breaking point. Lisel's decision to stand by Dante and Lulu or support Britt will have far-reaching consequences, not only for her relationship with her daughters but for the future of the family she has come to care for. Dante and Lulu are fighting to protect the child they have raised, but in doing so, they risk losing everything they've worked for. The family they've fought so hard to build may be slipping through their fingers, and no one can predict what the final outcome will be. In the end, the question of what makes a family remains at the heart of this emotional struggle. Is it biology that defines family, or is it the love, commitment, and sacrifices that parents make for their children? As Dante, Lulu, and Lisel struggle with this existential question, Rocco stands at the center, torn between two worlds and uncertain of where he truly belongs. The choices made in the coming days will determine not only the fate of Rocco's future but the very soul of the Falconeri family. In the end, Britt's return serves as a painful reminder of the secrets that have long remained buried, forcing the Falconeri family to confront the ghosts of their past. For Dante and Lulu, who thought they had finally found peace after so much turmoil, Britt's sudden appearance shatters their sense of stability. What once seemed like a peaceful life filled with love and hope for the future is now a mirror reflecting unresolved conflicts, betrayals, and painful truths. The return of Britt, a woman who has already caused so much heartbreak in their lives, threatens to undo everything they have worked so hard to rebuild. For years, Dante and Lulu have fought to create a family centered around Rocco, a child they have lovingly raised as their own. Their bond with him is strong, built on the foundation of trust, care, and the hope that their family would continue to thrive. But with Britt's return, all of that is now in jeopardy. The shocking revelation that Rocco is biologically Britt's son not only upends their family dynamic but forces them to confront painful truths they have long avoided.